This video in no way intends to offend anyone mentioned in it. It is solely for educational reasons and contains information that was found online. Accuracy, completeness, and timeliness are not promised or guaranteed. This is not a full and complete representation of the case, the people, or the investigation, and therefore should not be taken as such.
Saturday, August 12, 2014, began like any other day on Indonesia's Bali Island. Guests from all over the world were enjoying the luxury services at the exclusive St. Regis Bali Resort in Nusa Dua, including fine dining, a full spa, 24-hour butler service, a swimmable saltwater lagoon, and a private beach. Rooms at the St. Regis range in price from $500 to $8,000 per night, making it one of the most expensive on the island. Travelers staying at the St. Regis can expect the best service and one of the most luxurious experiences in Bali. Taxis are a common sight in front of the resort at all hours of the day due to its popularity. The 12th of August was no exception. On that Saturday, a young couple flagged down a taxi and then informed the driver that they needed to return inside for a moment after placing their suitcase in the trunk and a couple of other bags in the back seat. The driver eagerly awaited their return, assuming they still needed to check out of the resort to pick up some more luggage. But he quickly realized that wasn't going to happen. The minutes ticked away, first 15 minutes, then half an hour, and finally an hour. The driver had had enough after nearly 2 hours since the couple had left. He went to the reception desk and spoke with a couple of employees, learning the couple's room number. When the driver and the resort employees went to check on them, they found the room empty. The couple had vanished. The taxi driver, with no other options, returned to his car, growing increasingly frustrated with the situation. Apparently, the resort's security guards took a closer look at the suitcase inside the trunk at this point and noticed something odd. The suitcase was splattered with blood-red stains. Given that the bag's owners had mysteriously vanished, the security guards advised the taxi driver to take it straight to the police station. The driver agreed. He didn't want to find out what was inside the bag on his own. When the officers at the station opened the suitcase, they discovered something horrifying. The bag contained the half-naked and badly beaten body of an adult female. Welcome. This is Crime Recall. Section 1. Investigation. Sheila von Wiese-Mack, 62, an American tourist, was quickly identified as the victim. Sheila had traveled to Bali from Chicago, where she had lived for many years in the affluent suburb of Oak Park with her highly regarded jazz and classical composer husband, James L. Mack. James had been dead for over a decade by the time Sheila's body was discovered inside the suitcase. James injured his foot on a Royal Caribbean Mediterranean cruise in 2001. Due to insufficient medical treatment, the injury resulted in partial paralysis and a lengthy lawsuit against Royal Caribbean. James never got to see how the case was resolved because he died on August 9, 2006, at the age of 76, from a pulmonary embolism while on vacation in Greece. It took another 5 years for the parties to reach an agreement. Sheila was awarded just over $340,000, with the estate of James Mack receiving $500,000. Sheila was described by those who knew her as a cultured lady and just a lovely person. She had degrees in both business and social work. She was a member of the Caxton Club, a century-old Chicago book club, and had interests such as Asian literature and Wagnerian opera. Sheila moved from Oak Park to a downtown Chicago condo in 2008, following James's death, to be closer to the active arts scene. Many of Sheila's friends hoped that the new beginning would be beneficial to her. And it did for a few years, until Sheila was beaten to death inside a suitcase on the Indonesian island of Bali, and no one could figure out why. Sheila had been hit by a blunt object, according to the autopsy, with blows to the face and head. There had been a struggle, based on the defensive injuries on Sheila's arms and hands, which included bruises and broken fingers. Needless to say, the couple who had left the suitcase with the poor taxi driver were the first people the police wanted to speak with. The officers discovered something shocking when they went to St. Regis to speak with the employees. Sheila had not come to Bali alone. She had reserved a room for 10 nights with her 18-year-old daughter, Heather. The unexpected didn't stop there. Sheila and Heather were also seen with a third person, a young man, according to the investigators. This person, on the other hand, was not registered in the same room as the Macks, but in a separate one that was later booked with Sheila's credit card. As the plot thickened and neither Heather nor the young man could be found, the police decided to track her cell phone and examine her bank account records, as well as purchases made with Sheila's credit card. The investigators immediately noticed something unusual. Sheila's card had been used to book a separate business class flight to Bali for a man named Tommy Schaefer, Heather's unemployed 21-year-old rapper boyfriend. Were Heather and Tommy the young couple who left the suitcase with Warjana? Thanks to the hotel staff, the Bali police were able to locate Heather and Tommy at a nearby budget hotel, about a mile away from the St. Regis, less than 48 hours after Sheila's body was discovered. When the couple checked in without luggage, the employees became suspicious and informed the police of their whereabouts, realizing Heather and Tommy were most likely the two people on the news. The couple was arrested and questioned right away. Heather and Tommy both denied any involvement in Sheila's murder, but they both claimed to know who killed her. According to Heather and Tommy, a gang of robbers attacked them, murdered Sheila, and stuffed her body inside the suitcase. The couple miraculously escaped unharmed and explained that they left St. Regis without speaking to the police because they were afraid the gang would come after them as well. While something like this is not unheard of, the investigators questioned Heather and Tommy's versions of events. They already knew that Sheila and Heather had argued in the lobby of the St. Regis in the early hours of August 12th, the day she was killed. The police had CCTV footage of the argument, as well as witness testimony from people who saw Heather and Tommy place the suitcase in the taxi trunk. So, while the investigators didn't know what Sheila and Heather had been arguing about, they had enough information to formally charge the couple with murder on August 15, 2014. Heather and Tommy were now detained under Indonesian law, and the prosecution would decide whether to press charges. Section 2. Motive. In the days that followed, the police discovered Sheila and Heather didn't have the best mother-daughter relationship. In fact, the police were called to the Mack home 86 times during the family's time in Oak Park. Yes, 86 times between 2004 and 2013. All of the reports concerned theft or domestic violence, with Heather being the perpetrator. According to one 2010 report, Heather punched Sheila's broken ankle. She broke her mother's arm in 2011, and she bit Sheila hard enough to leave a bruise in 2012. Heather stole money from her mother on several occasions, up to $1,000 at one time. Heather met Tommy Schaefer as a student at Oak Park High School, which exacerbated Sheila and Heather's problems. Sheila didn't approve of the relationship and did everything she could to keep Heather and Tommy apart. Even selling the family home and relocating to the Gold Coast didn't work. Heather reportedly became pregnant twice during their relationship and had abortions both times, with her mother giving her no other choice. Heather was pregnant again when the mother and daughter traveled to Bali, and she was trying to figure out how to tell her mother. Heather's pregnancy was confirmed by Indonesian police on August 20th after they suspected she was lying in order to be deported to the United States. A month later, on September 19th, Heather Mack and Tommy Schaefer apparently realized there was no way out of the situation and changed their story, admitting to the murder of Sheila von Wiese-Mack. Sheila became enraged after learning Heather had booked a flight and hotel room for Tommy. According to the couple, Heather's situation worsened when she finally told her mother about the pregnancy after first discussing how to do it with her boyfriend at the beach. Heather and Sheila's argument in the lobby was caused by the news. The fight continued the next morning, and Heather apparently asked Tommy to come to her in her mother's room around 8 a.m. We'll never know what happened next, but Heather and Tommy claimed Sheila threatened to harm the unborn baby with a knife, and Tommy bludgeoned her to death with a decorative glass fruit basket. The couple claims they attempted resuscitation and contacted authorities before hiding the body in the suitcase out of fear. While Heather and Tom's story appears plausible, there was one major flaw. According to Sheila's email exchanges with her friends, she was already aware of her daughter's pregnancy prior to the trip to Bali. On January 14, 2015, Heather and Tommy were charged with premeditated murder. A conviction under Indonesian law could have resulted in the death penalty. Heather changed her statement again before the trial began, insisting she was innocent and petrified for her future and that of her unborn child. In the end, a 3-judge panel determined that Sheila's murder was deliberate and premeditated and sentenced Heather Mack to 10 years in prison, while Tommy Schaefer was sentenced to 18 years in prison in April 2015. Heather was granted some leniency because of her infant daughter, Stella. On September 23, 2015, Tommy's cousin, Robert Bibbs, was arrested and charged with conspiring with the couple to murder Sheila. Following a plea bargain, he was sentenced to 9 years in prison on June 2, 2017. Apparently, Robert was aware that Heather had offered her boyfriend $50,000 to assassinate her mother. One could argue that she deserved no leniency, but the reality is that Heather Mack's legal battles are far from over. Heather was finally released from the Indonesian prison on October 29, 2021, when she was 26 years old. She didn't get to enjoy her freedom for long, as she was arrested by the FBI as soon as she returned to the United States. Heather and Tommy were charged with conspiracy to murder Sheila von Wiese-Mack in a foreign country and obstruction of justice. Heather entered a not guilty plea in November 2021 and is currently awaiting trial on July 31, 2023. Just then, we will know the final fate of Heather Mack. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this content, then please give this video a like and hit the subscribe button.